The world of entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem seems so big at first. You just don't really know where to start. Just surround yourself with people who have the skills that you lack. What can I personally bring to the table? And what do other people need to bring to my team? Mental health is the most important thing you have. If your mental health isn't right, nothing in your life works. You can always surprise yourself with what you can actually do and with what you can actually achieve. Don't let anyone bring you down. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you cannot do anything. What I always like to say, shoot for the stars. Even if you don't reach them, you'll land on the moon.
Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Naked Thoughts podcast. Today I'm sitting with Aylin. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Today we will talk about a lot of topics like entrepreneurship, mental health. But I want to start with another question. Aylin, what drives you at the core?
Oh, that's a nice question. Well, I would say what drives me is basically my wish to leave an impact on this world. This is also, I would say, the core reason why I got into entrepreneurship, because I want more from life. I kind of want to leave the world a little better than I found it and create something meaningful and impactful that my future children can be proud of. And I'm very passionate and intrinsically motivated. And yeah, that gives me a lot of energy to pursue these dreams.
Who are you when we not talk about entrepreneurship and your passion for creating an impact? Who are you as a person?
Who am I? I would say I'm a very energetic person. I'm very loud. I like to talk. I would say I'm a good friend. Friendship is something that is very, very important for me. And also family. I'm a family person. I am very close to my family. I would say I'm a very loving and caring person. And yeah, besides that, I just like doing things that make me feel good and that basically help my mental health or support my mental health throughout the day. I like to be outside. I'm an outdoors person, whether it's just taking a walk at the Stadtpark, for example, or skiing in the winter, swimming in the lakes in the summer. I would say these are the things that I enjoy doing, and I'm very sportive. A lot of strength training and yoga. This gives me peace of mind. So these are the things I like doing when I'm not working.
I know that you have a very international background. How do you think did that shape you? I mean, I think you've studied in Italy. I think your parents are from, I don't know, from the southeast.
Oh yes, kind of. So yeah, so my father is Iranian. He came here in the early 80s, late 70s. And I would say I grew up with a lot of the Iranian culture, which is so beautiful. The Iranian culture, I would say, compared to the Austrian culture, is super open. But a lot of people say that the Iranians are the friendliest and most open people in the world. And this is really, really true. You feel so at home. There's always these amazing smells because food is a very important part in the culture. You have all the spices and all the warmth because my mom is an amazing cook. So we only eat Iranian food growing up. It's a very loud culture. There's a lot of dancing all the time. There's beautiful music. There are lovely little rituals. For example, there's the Iranian New Year. And there's a tradition where 2 days before that, you make a big fire. And then gather your friends and families and you jump over the fire to kind of leave the bad things in the past year, for example. So I grew up with a lot of the traditions from this culture, which is amazing. And which kind of also broadened my horizon from an early age on. And yeah, like you said, I after graduating from high school, I spent half a year in Switzerland in the mountains. I worked there at a hotel, to get some experience, to clear my mind regarding what I want to do in the future and to earn some money, of course. And this was basically the first time being away from home at 18 years old or 19 years old. And this definitely was, I would say, a big reason why I became independent. And then, like you said, I did my master's in Rome at the Rome Business School. I just came back past June, which is already almost a year ago, and time flies by. And this experience, I would say, really, really shaped me and enriched me tremendously. So I can recommend everyone to take at least 1 year or a semester abroad do it. You will not regret it. First of all, you meet such diverse people from various countries, from like all over the world. Everyone like has their own little piece of culture, of history. It enriches you to also learn different traditions, also just cultural diversities. Like you can see things in a daily life, how they communicate with people, how they approach also business decisions. So overall, this was like, I would say, up until now, the most transformative period of my life, and I wouldn't change it for anything. It was wonderful.
Why mental health?
Why mental health? How I got into mental health.
Yeah.
So, well, personally, I can take you back to the COVID pandemic, unfortunately. But like, I would say a lot of other people, I personally struggled a lot with my mental health. And yeah, I had a very hard time. I was in a very bad place. And yeah, I got out, and like, I wish I could say it was thanks to the great system that was in place, but unfortunately that was not the case. So I went into therapy. After one bad experience with a therapist, I found another good, I found a great therapist, and she really, really helped me. So this was a great experience. But like how I found her, I basically went to the Austrian database of psychologists, where like every single psychologist, a therapist in Austria is listed. And you basically go blind and like just pick one and cross your fingers and hope that they are a match, So I personally went through the process. And for me, gladly, it was the right match. And then, step by step, I got better. But also what this whole experience with struggling with my mental health showed me is that mental health is the most important thing you have. If your mental health isn't right, nothing in your life works. What I always like to say, you live inside your head until the day you die. So you have to make sure that it's a happy place to live in. So I personally know from my experience that mental health is the cornerstone and one of the, if not the most important things in life.
And coming from the mental health topic now to entrepreneurship, how did you end up there? Was there, I guess it has something to do with your master's. But could you tell me a bit more about it?
Of course. It was actually a few months before I left for Rome. It was actually funny. I was out with a few friends, and one of my friends, she complained about the process of finding a therapist, basically. So she said she went to an agency that would connect you with a therapist, in person. And first of all, you have to get an appointment there. And then you talk to them, and then they find a therapist for you, and then you have to find an appointment with them. So the whole process, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks, she said. And then she met with the therapist, and she was they weren't a match at all. She didn't like her, so she had to go back to the start. Again, go to the agency, again find a therapist to connect her. And then I thought, wait a minute, this should not be the case. We have to change that. And then, I started doing some research, basically on, first of all, existing solutions, and then started working on how to improve that, basically. Talked to a lot of my peers who are in similar situations, to gather potential niches or potential functions and features that existing solutions are missing. And then, like you said, with my master's in Rome Business School, I was lucky to have entered the entrepreneurial basically core. So that it was there were a few career paths you could choose, and I chose the entrepreneurial path. Then we got selected for the incubator program, and then at the end we won the prize. We won the Pitch Day Award for best startup in the cohort, and then we entered the accelerator. And on the way, I also found my team, basically. So now we're here.
Could you maybe tell a bit more about that experience, and also about finding the idea, implementing something, starting something, testing something, and especially also of course you knew that there was a market out there, but how did you test it? Or are you still in the phase? Or?
Yeah, well, I would say the phase never really stops. I would say maybe start with meeting my co-founder. Shout out to Michele on this point. I actually met him in Rome on a night out. He was a friend of a friend. This was where my idea was only still a concept in my head and not yet a product. And I met him, and I shared my idea, and he was like, "Oh, I love it. I want to be part of your team." And so this was amazing. It was basically destiny sending him to me. And he's the technical lead. So he has a background in AI engineering and data science. So he set up, the first platform. And we actually started by, first of all, doing market research. We did it very simply because, you don't have a lot of resources and, you don't want to, I personally didn't want to or couldn't spend a lot of money on market research. So what we did first, we did surveys. We created, I think, 2 different surveys that we just sent to basically everyone we knew. University peers, shared them on Instagram, shared them with your colleagues to gather as much feedback as possible to, like you say, identify if there's a market, if there's a need for that. And the case was, yes, there is a need for that. And then we followed up with interviews. So we interviewed potential users, so basically our peers who, some of them struggle with mental health, or, we asked beforehand, would you like to know more about the platform? Then we interviewed them to identify concrete needs and concrete gaps. And then we also conducted interviews with therapists. These were extremely insightful to get it, from the perspective of a professional. They also gave us insights into what additional features and tools to implement in our platform. So then, step by step, we got kind of our validation and our feedback. And then finally, we opened a waitlist for pre-sign up. So we just shared this waitlist as well, with people we know on Instagram within the university, and gathered sign-ups and also email addresses. I think this is also important that people actually share an email address where you say hey, can we contact you as soon as we're live? And this was a great validation for us that, hey, the people are really interested. There really is a market there. And so we really have something great in the works.
What did you feel of? Did you feel any kind of fear or before doing that step, or was it always clear for you to go to the path?
Well, it was always clear for me, but it doesn't mean it was never scary. Well, for me, I would say I'm one of those people who are kind of born to be an entrepreneur, it's my passion and I can't see myself doing anything else. I just know I did my internships, I did my full-time positions, and I'm not made for a 9-to-5. Sometimes I wish I was. But I'm just not. Like I said in the beginning, I want to create something by myself and to leave an impact. However, of course, the process can be very overwhelming because at first, you just don't really know where to start. The world of entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem seems so big and, of course, also unfamiliar and uncertain, and you don't really know how to start and what to do. And, of course, you do validate your product, but then you look at your data and you're like, oh, is this enough? Is this not enough? Did we do it the right way? And because the most important thing is that you solve someone's problem, And then you have to see, is this really a problem? Or I don't know, are we just asking the wrong people? So you do doubt yourself kind of along the way. But what is always important is, first of all, to listen to your heart and, of course, follow your passion, follow your dreams, and also follow the data. And if you see, black on white, yes, people are interested, there is a problem, there is a market for that, then you can kind of trust that this is the right thing to do, basically. And what's also key is to surround yourself with the right people. First of all, to get the right team. I would say this is the most important thing. You need a great team. And it's important to surround yourself with people who have the skills that you lack. This means, also to be honest with yourself and be humble with yourself in a way, and really be sure of, okay, what can I personally bring to the table and what do other people need to bring to my team to make it work. And I'm very lucky to have a great team. I'm really, really happy to have them. And, the team also makes it easier, because you can share your challenges, you can share your fears, so to speak, and, work together that this dream comes true. And it's also so rewarding when you kind of look back to where you started or where you were a few months ago and then see that you actually have a physical product, you have a lot of sign-ups, you get positive feedback. So this is really something great.
Did something change for you? Being an entrepreneur can be challenging, especially in the beginning. If you think of maybe you have to decrease your kind of lifestyle a bit or whatever, how did that affect you personally? So or maybe second question, did the relation to money change, the way you live?
Yeah. Yes, a little bit. So my budget is reduced a little bit, because like as the co-founder and CEO, I carry the costs currently that my business has. So yeah, of course, you learn to live with a little bit less, or, I'm just more like aware of my spendings. I budget more concretely. I'm just more conscious on where my money goes. Basically, this would be like the main thing, how my relationship with money changed regarding my daily life. It actually changed my like daily life for the better. For example, I'm now part of the entrepreneurial leadership program, like you are, Jakob. And this is, for example, one of the things that I love about the entrepreneurship path. You have this like access to this incredible community of like-minded people. And so kind of work and free time, they're kind of intertwined, and there's not really a clear border, which I personally love. I also always wanted that, wanted to have something that is like my business, but at the same time my life. So like this is kind of how entrepreneurship changed like my daily life, I would say, to the better.
When did you start Filora? You said like in 2025, like last year.
Well, the idea, we conceptualized it now 2 years ago.
Okay.
It was when I started my master. So at first it was a concept. Then it was a university project, and it was like kind of in this master's environment, kind of. And then step by step we started to actually build it. But for something like this, it takes a lot of time and effort to like build something like this. Because we don't just want to build some product to make money quick, basically. So we really put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of also clinical validation. This is also something that's very important to us, that we don't just I personally, I don't have a psychology background. So I am like, who am I to like create something like, for example, a questionnaire that matches you with the therapist? Like this has to be created, in cooperation with a psychologist. For example, we have a soon-to-be psychologist on our team, who takes care of this. And it's like a back and forth. And it's like meticulously, thought through to create something that really does have value.
Maybe also for the audience, could you explain, partially I think you already explained it, but how exactly does the product work? And how also, if, for example, I want to do like therapy, how can I use it?
Yes, so Filora basically rests on 3 main pillars. First of all, we match you with the right therapist. So you will answer a sophisticated questionnaire, and based on its questionnaire, an AI-powered algorithm will match you with potential therapists. Then, first of all, you have a 10 to 15-minute video chat with the therapist to identify immediately, okay, maybe I don't like this person at all. They're for some reason not my vibe at all. I want a rematch. Or you're like, okay, this person seems cool. This person seems nice. I want to start my session. Then you start your therapy journey with them. And then you can start using our mood tracker, the second feature. Our mood tracker lets you record your daily mood, emotions, triggers, situations that affect mental health, like your sleep schedule, your eating habits, your movements. Have you been outside? Have you worked out, etc., etc.? And this data can then be shared with the therapist directly, so they can prepare better for the next session. This is, I think, what I talked about in the beginning. Like if you're already struggling with your mental health, it's sometimes difficult to like remember everything that happened, because then you sit in the session and I don't know, you talk about just about your day or what happened, or I was in school, I was in university, I met my friend for coffee, blah, 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 blah. And then kind of the hour is almost over. And I mean, you pay for it unless, you have your insurance. And then, you're like, well, there were actually more important things that I missed, Then let's talk about them next week, And this is like kind of a never-ending circle. So we want to kind of streamline this and make sure you get the best out of your therapy session. And last but not least, therapy happens once a week, but life happens every day. So we want to kind of integrate what you've learned in a therapy in your daily life. We do this by structured homework exercises. Because in the interviews with therapists, we learn that they really like to give homework exercises. However, the people don't really do them, which is, kind of clear. If you tell someone, do this and this and this with the pen and paper, the probability that they do it is rather low. also here again, when you're already struggling with your mental health, things like these are very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And so we implement a digital homework system, which in the future will also have gamification components to make it more attractive to actually use. And the goal here is definitely to bring therapy to the daily life of the user, of the patient.
How did you onboard all those psychiatrists and?
Mm-hmm. We already have some psychologists in our pipeline. Therapists basically from the network. Mm-hmm. I personally just know a few therapists. Then we have, our in our team we have Caro. She's a soon-to-be psychologist, so she has a network to them. And I also have network to other people who have an existing network of therapists. So for now, it's like network and relationship, which is especially in the beginning also important for me because I want to make sure the right people are on our platform and the people that are actually willing to use it and can bring the most value to it, I would say. Yeah.
Do you think at some point AI will replace the therapists?
That's actually a good question. Funny enough, how I, when I conceptualized the idea of Filora, I went to a boot camp in Silicon Valley, and I have an uncle who's an AI engineer at Google there, and I, bounced off ideas with him, and he was actually like, why don't you just replace the therapist with AI? And I was like, hold on, we're not quite there yet. I do think that this is something that will happen in the future to some degree. I do think in Austria specifically, it will take a bit longer, but let's talk about everything, exactly. But if we look at tech hubs like Silicon Valley, for example, I'm sure that this will be something that can happen in the near future. First of all, it's easier and quicker. You have your therapist on speed dial, basically. Yeah. Then you can talk to them 24/7 whenever you want. However, there are, of course, a lot of pitfalls and also dangers because, AI is also in increasing and becoming more efficient, more proficient every day, as we speak, basically. However, I'm not sure we're quite there yet that it could actually replace a therapist also. But this is also something that is from person to person different. I think the human touch is very important. For example, a lot of people are also against even over the phone or video chat therapy, because they want the personal touch. I also hear this from therapists I talk to, that some of them don't even like it because they say, I can't really treat my patient if I don't really sit next to them, because there's also a lot of body language and things just get lost in translation if it's online and over the phone. But I do kind of definitely see this in the future to some extent. Then again, a lot of laws and regulations that will make this very difficult, especially in the EU to implement.
Also for Filora?
Well, for now, no. For now, this is not planned because, like I said, we rely also on the human touch and want to be as beneficial for the patient, for the user as possible. And for now, we'll stick with real therapists.
Looking back now at the first month of your entrepreneurial journey, what was much harder than you expected?
That's a good question. I would actually say defining what the product exactly should be. Mm-hmm. Because, in my, I had, my first idea was just the matching, But then, we also looked at the market, having a platform that solely does the matching wouldn't have been sufficient. I mean, there's a lot of competitors already on the market, and we wouldn't really create so much more value. So this was kind of difficult to bringing the idea that you have into an actual, more or less feasible product. This was very challenging, I would say. And maybe something else, creating my first pitch deck. I remember this. I was horrible at it. Because one thing I don't love doing is meticulous design exercises, creating a PowerPoint presentation or a Canva presentation. I never liked doing it because I'm not great at it. So I remember I struggled a lot with drafting my first pitch deck, and it was very bad.
What helped you to overcome the doubts and the insecurity in the beginning?
Mm-hmm. My peers. Definitely my peers. First of all, like I said earlier, surrounding yourself with a great team. Also believe in your vision and your mission. And just surrounding yourself with people who have a similar drive as you are and who are in similar situations as you are, because then it feels more normal. Because if you're by yourself and if you don't have like your ecosystem and you have no one to like kind of compare yourself to, you feel lost, obviously. You see people with completely different careers, people who are in consulting, who are in management positions, etc., etc. And then you're there, with your idea of a company. So it's like completely different moments in time and moments in your life. So it's crucial to talk to people, always talk to people who are in a similar situation as you are. It sounds easy, but it really, really does help. And of course, it's even better if you get, positive feedback from people and to like encourage you and empower you to pursue your idea.
What would you recommend to people or to somebody who wants to create something, but maybe they don't have like that environment, they have friends, family do not really support them on the entrepreneurial journey? What would you advise them?
I would say always follow your dreams. Don't let anyone bring you down. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you cannot do anything. What I always like to say, shoot for the stars. Even if you don't reach them, you'll land on the moon. But more concretely, seek out those people. Like if you don't have them in your immediate friends and family, I didn't have them, Like of course my parents were self-employed, but like not in a tech area. So among my friends, I was the only one who basically is founding a startup. You have to seek out those people. There are a lot of communities, events. In Austria, for example, the Wirtschaftskammer, the Junge Wirtschaft has events, or Austrian startups. I'm sure every town, every city has some sort of community around entrepreneurship, around the startup ecosystem, basically. So seek them out, or go on LinkedIn, just connect with people, exchange ideas, just shoot anyone a message. You can always, because like what I love about the entrepreneurship community, they are super, super open and super helpful, because like I think everyone is a successful entrepreneur now used to be in a decision that we are now, that I am now, or that someone who just has an idea is now. And so they know how grateful you are if you give them some piece of advice, So people like to help. I think this is something that people are shy about, to really ask for advice, but just do it. Shoot a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram or something to anyone. Just get yourself out there, bounce your ideas off whoever you can find, and just seek out people who kind of share your vision.
Did you ever feel lonely as a founder?
In a way, yes. I think it kind of started like a moment I felt lonely. In Rome, in Rome Business School, I was, like I said, in the incubator program where there were a few other startups. So I was like I said, surrounded by a community of people with like the same or a similar path. Then I went back to Vienna last June, and like I said, I would say like in my like close friend circle, I was like the only one who is in the process of founding a startup, and it did feel kind of lonely because I didn't really have anyone to kind of share my doubts, my feelings, my journey, my wins, my losses with me. Of course I told them about it, but of course, it's something different if you are in the same situation, because there's also kind of a lack of understanding, on what is it that I'm doing right now, and like taking the time to explain it to everyone. I mean, it's also not something, on the other way around, like, I don't know, would all of your friends like meticulously explain their jobs to you? Probably not. Yeah. So on the other hand, I'm also not sitting there and explaining and showing to my friends exactly step by step what I'm doing. Of course, I'm showing them they're like, oh my God, amazing. It's so cool. It's so cool. But there's like kind of a lack of understanding, or like really relating, a lack of kind of relating to what we're doing. So I did feel, I would say, a bit lonely back then, definitely. But then I seeked out my communities. I went to a lot of the events by Austrian startups, and eventually ended up in the ELP program.
It's so interesting. I think I felt more or less the same when I was also like studied abroad, I think, or lived abroad. I think you come home with a completely different mindset.
Yes.
And that might not fit anymore to the mindset of the people or how the people you knew you before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also hear it often that kind of when you go abroad, you change so much. And then when you're back home, you kind of feel like the world didn't really move at the same pace as you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to cope with that in a way.
You're building in the mental health space. How do you take care of your own mental health?
Oh, that's a nice question. Basically, like I would say one thing I learned while I struggled with my mental health, something that I still hold very close to my heart, is find happiness in the small things. Mm-hmm. I would say this is like also a piece of advice that I can give to anyone who's listening. Find happiness in the small things. It's not about the big things. It's not about the huge events. It's really about the tiniest things in your everyday life. This could be, I like taking walks. You know, I like to be somewhere like in the green, even if it's just like the park in front of Motiv Church at Schottenthal. Doesn't matter. Looking at the flowers or looking at the trees blooming now, for example, in spring, it's the perfect opportunity. Or in winter, just watching the snowfall and like kind of taking a step back and like appreciating nature and appreciating the beauty that surrounds you. This is one thing where, for me, you know, I found kind of an anchor in the little things, because the little things are always there. You don't have to wait for them. You don't have to seek them out. They're always there, and it's on you to recognize them. And also a big part for me was movement and taking care of my body. I got into strength training. I like to lift heavy at the gym. This is something I just enjoy doing because it pushes me. I can kind of push my limits, so to speak, and it gives me like an extra kick of motivation and being like proud of myself. You know, you can always like increase your weight and see how much you progress. And I also like to do yoga because yoga calms my mind, because I have a lot of energy. I'm very bubbly, and sometimes this can, of course, also be overwhelming. So I like to do yoga to calm my mind. And of course, I would say that's a no-brainer. Surround yourself with wonderful people. I'm very lucky to have so many wonderful, wonderful people in my life. I have amazing friends, really. I couldn't wish for any better friends that I have. I have a wonderful, wonderful family. I have amazing peers. And this gives you so much. This gives you a lot of like strength. You know, they kind of anchor you. They are always like behind you. They always have your back. And this also gives you a lot of strength and a good push. And lastly, regarding like, so specifically mental health, I learned that it's also important to talk about also issues that you're facing. You know, because like if you keep your problems, your struggles to yourself, you know, they kind of eat you alive. So saying these things out loud really, really helps. It sounds easy, but a lot of people don't do it either because they think, I don't know, I'm annoying my friend if I tell them about my problem, or I'm shy, or what will the people think about me? So no, we talk about our problems, because if they stay in our head, they only get worse.
Very good. Do you feel any pressure to have it all together because of what you're building?
Yeah.
Or just the other way around, because you build in mental health and it's, I think, fair and okay to
fall apart.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I do like rather the first thing, that I sometimes do feel pressure to have everything together, you know. Because, you know, I think it's like I'm 26 right now. And, you know, I did my bachelor's, I did my master's, I went abroad. So like on paper, I should be like a full grown up person, you know. But sometimes I just don't feel that way, you know, that you're like, sometimes, you know, you don't feel as old as you are because, you know, life goes so fast and, you know, I'm 26. But I do feel 26. But sometimes, like, you know, I thought, like 10 years ago, I thought I would feel more mature or more adult by now. So this is sometimes something where I'm like, should I be acting more adult? Should I be feeling more adult? Like, am I doing something wrong? But then on the other hand, you know, you should always be true to who you are. Yeah. And you shouldn't like change for anyone. Yeah, like, of course, like if you feel bad about yourself, you should change for the better. But you should never change for anyone else, or for a version that you put in your head, or like a version that you aim to be. You shouldn't like force yourself into a shell or into something that you're not, because you won't fit there. So you should be true to yourself and, be as happy with the life that you have and like improve it as long as these improvements do you good and benefit your mental health, your life, your career. But you shouldn't try to become something you're not. How do you deal with, of course, you try to get together everything and then on the outside, but on the inside, maybe you feel uncertainty, stress, and anxiety. How do you deal with that? I talk. I talk to people. I talk to my mom mostly about my issues. I with them sometimes something happens. I call her. She's like my go-to person for that. And also to my friends, I talk. I just talk through it, to get another perspective. This is the most important thing. Is also something, why, or like in my experience, why therapy worked so well. You get another perspective. Because like I mentioned, in your mind, everything always seems bad or catastrophic. But if you tell someone about your problems, first of all, it feels easier, but they have always like a nice piece of advice for you or something to go on, basically. So this is like my number one advice. Or also, if it's, I don't know, something in the career or like something else, it always helps to just like take a step back, take a breather, take a deep breath and like think about it objectively, kind of, because we tend also to like take things personally a lot. For example, like I also recognize this about myself. Sometimes when people give me feedback, that is not, oh my God, it's so great, I love it, but like real and valuable feedback. That's not negative per se, but not like only positive. Sometimes I do take it personally, and I still catch myself doing that. I think this is just like human. I might be like, oh, like, did I do something wrong? Or I don't know, did I not make it right? But then, like take a step back, breathe and be like, okay, what was the feedback actually about? I'm not a bad person or something. I didn't do anything wrong. And just like let it in, look at it objectively and see how you can best implement it in improving your process or your life, basically. So also to not let little things affect you personally too much. Did you ever feel underestimated as a founder because you're a woman? That's a tough question. That's an interesting question, I have to say. I would say sometimes I feel like men, want to like kind of tell me things that are actually, how can I say this? Like they kind of want to, give me like advice, but it's not really advice. Like I'm doing something and they say, no, you should do it differently. But they don't know my project. They don't know what stage I'm in. They don't know how I'm doing things. They don't know my past with, or past endeavors in regarding to this particular situation. So I do actually sometimes get the feeling that they try, or like kind of think they know it better. Not to sound harsh, but like this is the perception I go to. They think they know it better, and they want to kind of force it on me, And before they listen to me or before they ask about my journey with like this specific topic, to kind of try to push some agenda, I would say, on me. This is sometimes something that I would say recognize, but besides that, no, actually not true. I think I'm lucky to have like a very big personality, and I don't like, I'm very loud and I speak up for myself. So like I'm very loud. I'm not like scared also to tell someone my opinion and to, if I feel like someone underestimates me or belittles me, I'm not afraid to speak up, and neither should be anyone else or any other woman.
So I feel that it's, I guess for women, it's kind of difficult because on the one hand, they feel like too much, too overpowering. On the other hand, you shouldn't, I don't know, show any weaknesses in the business world. So I guess it's,
yeah, no, I agree.
It might be difficult for you than for men, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think overall you're probably right. And like enough people have told me throughout my life I should be more like feminine or more calm, more quiet. I'm like, I that's not who I am. I can't, so I won't.
No, you should be who you are. You should be you.
Yes, true to yourself.
you're now building like a platform to help others.
Yes.
And what I want to ask now is, do you feel any kind of pressure because you have certain responsibility to help others, to give them like the best therapist possible?
Definitely. Like it is a big goal, but it's like I said, like for my own journey, this is something that is so close to my heart. So it maybe it's not really like a pressure that, oh my God, I have to do it, but rather like in kind of an intrinsic wish to do it. Like I want to help other people so much. Like there's so much I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like, this is not the struggle, but it's like less of an like external pressure. It's more of like I have such a big plan, and I want this big plan to actually happen. And like, I want to help as many people as possible and to help them as effectively as possible, I would say. But of course, there's also, of course, there's a certain degree of pressure there. And I'm aware definitely of the fact that that we at Filora do have a huge responsibility to the people using our app, to the patients, the users, to provide the best service and the best platform, the best features possible.
Yeah. I mean, I totally feel that the question in the beginning, what drives you? I totally feel that your drive is really to have an impact, to help people. Do you think that besides that, there is something else? I don't know, validation, I don't know, money, fame, success?
Money, fame, success. Like I also, for me, like helping something and like, well, I always wanted to create something that like I did, you know? Mm-hmm. Maybe you can call it pride. I won't call it pride, but like, for me, it was clear. I wanted to have something that is mine, you know, or like ours, that I created together with a team, and that, you know, where I can look back and be like, I did that. You know, I helped all these people, you know, I made the world a better place, a little bit at least, you know. I would say this is, you know, besides wanting to make an impact and help people, it's also the fact that, you know, I want something that I did, that I created, kind of something that I can be proud of, and that my children and grandchildren ideally can still be proud of now.
Maybe a bit more practical advice for people who are creating something or creating their own business. It sounds everything a bit, as you said, like you enter entrepreneurship and it sounds everything so artificial or so hard to get. But okay, you got your co-founder who is like who has technical knowledge to build you something. But what I want to ask is now, how do they can get you the first product, to build the first product? What advice would you give to them? Besides, like, of course, talking to people, being in a community, is there something that you could really advise on that?
Look at to be as concrete as possible. Look at existing solutions. Look at your competition. Look closely at your competition. Because maybe this could be something that you don't want to look at, you know, because like, I don't want to look at the competition, or I don't want to see something I don't like. But it is important to also get information for yourself. You can structure your pricing similar to the competition. You can structure your onboarding guides. You can structure even your user interface. You can structure your website similarly to your competition. Mm-hmm. So like very concretely, this is, I would say, something that I can advise you. And you should read The Lean Startup. This is also concrete advice that I can give you. The Lean Startup is basically kind of a guide book on how to build something. And like also in regards to that, you know, like build fast and fail faster. So don't be afraid to fail. So you should build something very, very quickly to validate it as quickly as possible. So because like the core of it all, of building any successful business, is there has to be a problem that you can solve. If there's no problem, you can't give a solution, because nobody will need your product. So first of all, like to go like to the very, very beginning, make sure you have an actual problem to solve. And when you think of a solution, be very quick in building at least a first draft. It can be a website where you gather your first sign-ups, or you gather your first wait list. This is great. You know, you have to get your first validation. Take it one step further. You can build an MVP. You can build it now very quickly with like Lovable, for example. You know, it's not going to be perfect, and it might break down probably. And it always depends on, of course, what space you're operating in. But if it's like more or less simple, like software or something, you can also easily like try building it yourself, showing it to people, if they even understand it, if they can kind of navigate, because then you get immediate feedback. If they look at your platform and they're like, what is that? I have no idea what you want me to do. Then, immediately, okay, I have to go back to the drawing board and change basically. And this brings me kind of back to the next point, which is get feedback from as many people and as often as possible. Feedback from your peers, from your mentors, for your professors, for example, if you're in university, is extremely valuable because, the danger, like they always say, is to fall in love with your own product. You should not fall in love with your own product, which is very difficult if you are a passionate young entrepreneur. But for this reason, it's very important to get as much feedback as possible and also as early, as quickly as possible, and accept the feedback. If 9 or if 7 out of 10 people tell you it's not a good idea, you shouldn't do it, you should like reconsider maybe changing it or adapting it or pivoting, and not only focus on the positive feedback you get, but even more so on the negative.
What about selling yourself or selling the product? How do you do that?
Selling myself and selling the product?
Maybe both.
Well, for selling the product, this depends on what space you're in completely. For B2C, social media is, I would say, key. Social media presence and selling over social media is one of the most crucial channels, because this is where, like in most cases, your audience spends most of their time, I would say. So make sure this is engaging to get, interest and attention as early as possible. Yeah, and also, like I said here, don't be afraid to look at how the competition did it. This is always a good point. Where is the competition? What platforms are they on? What type of content do they have? Because if they're successful, you can know that their strategy works in a way. And about selling myself, this is actually funny that you bring that up, because like in the last weeks, I have actually been kind of deep diving or thinking a lot about building my personal brand on social media, actually. Like I do like to post my Instagram stories and the occasional Instagram post, but it's not really related to my entrepreneurial journey. And I want to change that, because like Filora is part of who I am. And I also want to show like the world what I'm doing. And then I also want to, show kind of my daily life as an entrepreneur, as a founder. And I do think, like recently I was at the Junge Wirtschafts event, and Karin Teigl, I don't know if you know her, she's an Austrian influencer, and she has a very strong personal brand. And she gave a talk about personal branding and how important or how beneficial it can be for your business to kind of correlate or like combine your business with your private persona, because then people see you, people trust you. And, if you sell something that relates to your life, for example, for me, mental health is a big part of my life, so I have the right, I would say, to also sell a mental health platform. So I think it's definitely a good idea to also build a strong personal brand on social media that goes together with your profession.
And when you think about finding the correct legal setup or also finances, is there anything you can share?
This is very difficult. No, the process of doing this is very difficult. So I feel everyone who's struggling with that, because there are a lot of different legal entities, and it always depends on what you need. Because for us, data protection and consumer protection is a big topic. So we need a legal entity that protects us. Like it would be a limited company, a GmbH in Austria. However, here I can definitely recommend to just make an appointment with either the Wirtschaftskammer or the Wirtschaftsagentur. They have a lot. First of all, they have a lot of founder days. Like it's like a conference or a congress where you can go there for free, or you can schedule a meeting with respective person, or you can schedule a consulting session. So for someone who's super confused, I can definitely recommend this. Just really make use of the options they have, schedule a meeting, get yourself some information, and also talk to your peers. because it definitely depends on the type of business you are in. If you do something, if you have a platform that doesn't collect any data from the users or like any sensitive data, you're fine with an OG, like an open society. I don't know the English translation. Versus you need more legal protection. So there are various different factors that need to be considered.
And from a finance perspective, do you think that there is a certain amount of capital needed? And besides that, the capital you have to put into to found the company from a legal perspective, but also like talking about, I don't know, having some money saved just in case the project doesn't go well or whatever. Is there something you...
Yeah, also personally, I do recommend maybe not like burning all the bridges and building your startup right now, because you won't sell on day one. Like I don't think you will make a living in the first month. Like, of course, it depends on what kind of company you have, but you also have ongoing costs. Like for me, I still have a profession. I work as a freelancer. I still earn my money. Like not like as much as is a full-time equivalent, because I have to pay my own taxes, my own insurance, so I do have a lot of costs. But I do recommend, especially for the start, to still have kind of a safety net. I know a lot of people are like maybe motivated and like want to jump, like head dive in. They're super convinced about their business, which is amazing. Of course, I'm all for it. However, make sure you stay realistic and don't do something you might regret, and make sure you at least have some net to fall back to, even if it's your parents offering you a room at their house that you can stay in case things go south.
Has building Filora somehow changed how you see your life?
Yes, definitely. My life seems bigger now. I don't know. It's hard to explain, because like when I was younger, when I was still in my bachelor's, I saw my career. I don't know. I want to go either to like a big corporation or a consulting firm, have my job and management position, and slowly climb up the corporate ladder, and then retire at 60 or 65. This is like when I was younger, kind of how the life path kind of looked like. And now, like with building a startup, suddenly my life looks bigger. I don't know. There are more possibilities, more options, more growth, more connecting with people, more impact to give. Like I feel my life kind of opened up, if that makes sense. Like it's definitely more uncertain. I think like startups and uncertainty, they go hand in hand. You kind of one without the other. But this is also beautiful, and I think we should also learn to thrive in uncertainty and to embrace it, and to look at the possibilities that this uncertainty offers.
Where do you want Filora to be in 5 or 10 years?
Ooh, I definitely want Filora to be a market leader in the EU market. I want to have a lot of happy users that share their journey with Filora with us, that where we were able to help them. We were actually able to change their lives for the better, to have them, to give them a different relationship with their mental health, and to push people in the right direction, and to just make the world a little bit better, ideally already in 5 to 10 years. Make people as happy as possible.
And where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
At the top of Filora, making all those people happy. No, definitely still working at Filora, 100%. Like this is my baby. Like this is a project that's really like close to my heart. Like we said, like I'm not just building it to make profits. Excellent. Goodbye. But I will definitely want to stay with the company. And also like maybe more detail, like I imagine to have like kind of expanded the offers of Filora, like who knows what time will bring. Maybe we'll change our offer. Maybe we'll add new features. Maybe I will have replaced the therapists by then. Who knows? So we plan to have like a platform that grows with the user base, that adapts to the needs of the users ongoingly, and to just create something that will still be as relevant, as needed, and as beneficial then.
Yeah. Aylin, there was so much valuable you've shared so far.
Thanks.
What do you think, especially on your entrepreneurial journey, what has this journey taught you about yourself?
That I'm stronger than I think. I think everyone is stronger than they think, because you have to be put in situations where you have to show strength and resilience, and you can always surprise yourself with what you can actually do and with what you can actually achieve. And you should never stop doubting yourself. You should always believe in your heart and follow your heart. It sounds a bit cheesy, but this is basically what it has taught me, to follow my passion, to bite through. I mean, as at the beginning, I wasn't sure. Of course, I doubted myself. I was like, is this the right way? Shouldn't I have just gotten the corporate job? I could be I don't know, on my way to senior manager right now. Did I make the right decision? But then always listen to your heart. Because then when I really imagine myself in an office chair at a corporation, I'm like, oh God, I'm glad I'm not there. So, just build the life that you want to live in. This is also very, very important, because you're the master of your own destiny. You have everything you need to make yourself happy, to lead a successful and wonderful life. So you just should go for it and follow your heart.
That's so powerful. I hope everyone has listened now. One procedure at the end of my episode is always to have 5 questions.
Okay.
And those are 5 questions that I ask everyone.
Okay.
So these are the same questions, and I want you to be as briefly as possible in answering them.
I'll try.
What is the best advice you would give to people if you don't find something?
Yeah, but probably like you said, it's very basic to not let other. Oh no, maybe we do have some. Don't let don't let other people's negativity affect you and your life. Just because other people, are more unhappy than you are, or are not in the same space as you are, not in the same journey as you are. Don't let them bring you down. Stay true to yourself.
Yeah. What is the worst advice you've been ever given or received?
To get a nice, good corporate job and do it the traditional way.
Okay.
For me personally, yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who feels scared, paralyzed by fear, and don't know what to do?
Mm-hmm. Talk. Like I said before a few times, talk to peers, talk to the people you want to be. How do you see yourself in 5 years? Go on LinkedIn, find those people, shoot them a message and talk to them. Ask them about their journey, about their path, about their fears, because everyone has those, no matter how successful they are.
What is one thing that people should do more for their mental health?
Ooh, yoga. Definitely. Everyone should do yoga. I like it a lot. This and meditation. I also like to meditate a few minutes every day, or just do something that clears your head. Because, especially as an entrepreneur, our heads are always so full and we're always on. Yeah. So find some time to calm yourself.
Okay, last and final question. Besides entrepreneurship, Filora, what still gives meaning to your life?
I would say my friends and my family. I would say, they make me happy. They enrich my life so much. They're my support system. I'm grateful to have them. And, if everything would go south, I know my friends and family would still be there.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a blast.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Drop the links of Aylin below, I hope. Can people already access the platform?
They can pre-sign up.
Okay, then pre-sign up. If you have the feeling you have to talk about, your fears, your uncertainty, whatever it is. And I'm happy to explore the platform as well as soon as it is live. And thank you so much for being here. You're welcome. And if there's anyone who wants to talk about the journey or share their fears, please slide into my LinkedIn. It's always open. And thank you so much for having me, Jakob. It was a pleasure to be here.